What's going on, everyone? Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal, and right now we are headed to a senior living facility to do a junk removal. The executive director reached out to me earlier this morning and said that they needed an apartment cleared out. He did say that it's not a lot of stuff, which to me means that there may not be a lot of big stuff, but there's probably going to be a lot of small miscellaneous items. So I brought my speed pack with me. If you don't know what a speed pack is, it is a giant open-end box that you put on a dolly. You can fill it up with whatever the heck you want and move it out to your truck. It is great for saving time, especially when you go to places like apartment buildings or senior living facilities or storage units when you often have a long walk, assuming you have an elevator. Obviously, it would be kind of difficult to go down the stairs with a speed pack. But for any other matter, it is a great tool to have. It really helps speed up the process. And it can be great for saving you profit if you're paying your guys by the hour, because it's going to speed up how many trips they need to take. So that's what we're heading into right now. I just want to say senior living facilities for me, since I have started, have continued to be one of my better sources that I've marketed to. The great thing about them is that there's no season for when they need us. So normally people are moving into a senior living facility normally due to age or health problems, and there's no time of year that happens, more or less. Or unfortunately somebody passes away, the family will come and take out all the memories and leave everything behind, and we go in and clean out the unit. And one more time, there's no time of year that happens, more or less. So it is one of those ongoing situations where if you can get yourself vetted into one or two, three of them, that's a great ongoing source for repeat clients. And you can get a lot of jobs through the families themselves. A lot of people are local, not everyone is out of state. So if you can get someone who you do a job for, it's excellent, you're helping them out in a time of stress and need, maybe they remember you and maybe they have a couch they want to replace 3 or 4 months down the road, they're going to give you a call. So you just got a referral and a repeat client. So definitely recommend marketing to them. They're super easy to deal with, and at the end of the day, it's just as promising as any other source. So we're going to head there right now, and I'll show you what that job looks like. I put the dolly on the side of the chair instead of maybe underneath it is because if I put it underneath it with the arms, it's going to be too wide to go out the door. The back does not come off. This is one of those inclines that kind of pre-sit up, so it's easier for older people to get off the chair. So I put the dolly on the side near like the cushion where like you would put your arms, and the reason being is I'm going to use it to hook the front end out the door. I'm going to show you on this door because there's people outside doing tours and I don't want to make a nuisance. So I'm going to show you what I mean by hooking it out the door. You can do this with any kind of armchair, sofa chair, even this one here with the paisley fabric. This is too wide to go out the door. So I would have to angle it. It'd be the same thing if you were carrying it with somebody else. You would flip it on the side. Somebody would go out with this side first, and then you would just hook it through. So I'm going to do the same concept, except it's on a dolly, so I don't have to worry about having a second person with me. All right, and that is pretty much it. We're gonna grab this headboard and carry it downstairs because we have to go to the 6th floor to get the second chair. We actually got stuck on the 2nd floor because I guess the guy who was trying to come down, they wear bracelets. Some of them aren't supposed to go in the elevator and leave the floor. And like he walked in the elevator and all of a sudden the alarm went off and I was like, what the hell just happened? Like I didn't hit the buttons, I didn't like hold the elevator open for too long. And it turns out the nurse was like, yeah, he's not allowed to use the elevator. And I'm like, okay, well, can I turn this off? Because I couldn't operate the elevator as long as the alarm was going off. And she was like, I don't know the code. So like I had to walk around the whole floor to find somebody, and the medical assistant was like, yeah, I can do it for you. So that was new. But good to know that sometimes the alarm may go off. This thing is heavy. Maybe it's real brass. That'd be cool. Probably not though. Yeah, let's go get that next chair and then we'll be out of here. Alright, so that job is complete. We stopped home and dropped off one of the recliner chairs to try to resell, along with a few small items that I picked out from the closet. Everything else we are now at the dump right now to get rid of. All that furniture is banged up in one way or another. Could probably try refinishing to resell it, but I don't have the space or the time for that. So, unfortunately, a lot of it's going to get dumped. Now, I came across a thread the other day on Reddit. I think Reddit is great for business stuff. And somebody had commented that their goal for junk removal was to make $60,000 this year. And it got a lot of negative feedback. Like they were similar to my situation. They were part-time the year before, did it just on weekends, which is basically what I did when I was a mover. And they made like 15, 20 grand. I think I made like 27 grand my first year. So I'm not too far off. And they said that this year they're full-time. They didn't want to overshoot and get disappointed. So their goal was 60,000, which I think is reasonable. And there was a lot of negative comments saying like, oh, that's stupid. Why even waste your time as a business? Like just go work for someone else at that point. You could make that kind of salary working for somebody else. Why put all that stress on yourself? Your goal should be 100 minimum, 250 minimum. And there was a lot of people attacking this guy, and I was like, why? And somebody finally, I was going to comment, but I don't like getting involved in threads that you can't control the notifications for. But somebody had finally commented and said, who cares how much he's making as long as he's pulling in profit? That's a good point. My brother taught me that a long time ago. You can make $250,000, and that's a huge number. But let's say it cost you $190,000, $200,000 to get there. The amount of profit you have left over, depending on how you pay yourself, your profit may determine how much money you pay yourself as an owner, or how much money you have left over to reinvest into your business to then grow. So if you're having to pay 75, 80, 90% just to make that money, is it really worth it? Someone who can make 100 grand and profit 60 versus a person who made 200,000 but only profits 30, who has a better standing? I would say the guy who made 100 and profited 60. So I think a lot of people, their goals are always to make more money, but are you actually making that money? So I went ahead and put together a list of things I've learned over time with as far as kind of how to help your profit levels and how I do stuff myself as well, because I like to keep my overhead low and I like to keep my expenses low, because if I am not very busy, I don't want to stress out on the fact that how am I going to pay for these bills? How am I going to pay myself? I don't want to have to resort to going out doing side jobs or picking up a part-time job. So I'm just going to throw through some of the things that I do, and I'm sure a lot of them are going to apply to you. And then I'll talk about one of the two of the things I've learned from other business owners. So starting right off, for junk removal, I would say the number one thing I've learned is to make sure you're charging accordingly on your jobs. So I think that's the most difficult thing when you're first starting off, is a lot of people lowball their jobs, or they give a flat number and they guarantee the customer, I'm not going to go over that number. But that could be really bad for you if, let's say, you tell them it's going to be $299 and there's a closet full of crap that they didn't tell you about, or maybe you forgot to think about, or you forgot to check it. And you're like, oh, it's fine. I'll keep it at $299. I'm not going to, it's okay. I'll take care of you this time. And in reality, you probably could have charged an extra $59, $89 for that, depending on how much your truck fee is. So that's an extra $50, $80 that you're losing right off the bat. If you do that all the time, you might be losing thousands of dollars a year, because you don't want to seem like the person who changes their mind on their pricing. Or people who don't charge extra for items that you get charged extra to dispose of. I talked about this in my pricing video, my last one, where if you get charged extra for dumping, let's say, mattresses, when you go to jobs, you should be charging a little extra for those mattresses to cover your expenses. you shouldn't have to pay the customer to get rid of something for them. That's how I view it. If it costs me $100 to dump my trailer for a full load, and I keep that in mind and I charge, and let's say my full truck price is $600. If I go there and I know, okay, I'm a full truck, so I'm probably going to be around $100, and there's 3 mattresses, I know the dump's going to charge me an extra $60 for that, I'm just going to group it all together. I'm essentially paying the customer $60 to get rid of those mattresses for them because I'm refusing to tack it onto their disposal. So that's how I see it. If you're not charging accordingly and you're not setting yourself up to where you're able to truly break even on these disposal jobs, I think you're just always going to be in a slight negative. And then another thing is disposal. So you have scrapping metal to make a little extra income. It's not just going to the scrapyard and making an extra 30, 40, 50, 80 bucks. You're also saving on the dumping too. So if it costs you, let's say, $30 to dispose of a quarter truck worth of metal, if I go to the scrapyard and they pay me $15, $20 for it, I didn't just make $15, $20. I made $45 to $50 because I saved on the dump. Same thing can be said for donations. Donations don't pay you, but it's free to get rid of stuff, so you're saving on the dump fee. Better yet, if you want to try to resell your furniture or drop it off at a consignment shop, now you get to make extra money on top of being paid to take it. So it's a little bit more advantageous for us. And then the last main point, and I've heard this from other business owners, but you just have to apply it to junk removal, is expedite your process so that you can save money and time. Time is always going to charge you money one way or another. Even if you do flat fee jobs, if you do pay by the service, you're still being paid for time. So if you can make everything faster, you can make things easier, more efficient, if you can save on damages, then you're saving money. So buying better equipment, buying things that can handle more doing the same amount of work. For example, you saw me today with the speed pack. If I were to take that out without the speed pack, I do have 2 trash cans on wheels and I have a gorilla cart I can fit a decent amount of stuff in. I would probably have made, I'm going to say, anywhere between 10 to 15 trips to get that apartment cleared out. And you saw that apartment, that wasn't anything crazy. But with the speed pack, I ran 4 trips with the speed pack. I ran 2 dolly trips for the chairs, and then I ran a dolly trip for the dresser. Everything else was in the speed packs. So collectively, including the second apartment, I did no more than 7 trips altogether. So I cut my trips in half, which for somewhere like a senior living facility or an apartment building, that extra time it takes to walk down, use the elevator, wait for people, go out to your truck, I would say each trip it probably takes me anywhere from like 7 to 12 minutes, give or take. So I probably saved myself about an hour just by having the speed pack. Or using mattress bars, right? Mattress bars, I can load up a bunch of flat stuff on it and take it out in one trip versus sitting there and trying to carry them one by one. You know, things that you can do to maximize your trips and speed up the process is going to save you money in the long run, either by yourself or if you have to pay helpers. So at the end of the day, being efficient saves money because it saves time. So those are the 3 main things that I found, at least for junk removal. The things I've learned just in general from other business owners, other than just being efficient with your time, because again, time is money, is to try to expedite your background operations. So how you do your taxes. Is it more beneficial for you to sit there and go through all your receipts and spend 5 hours doing it and then figuring out what to do on your taxes to make sure you don't get in trouble, you don't overdo it? Or is it better to hire a bookkeeper for $200 and just have them send a PDF off to your accountant? You never have to touch anything. You know, is it better to go the more expensive route with marketing if it means you're covering more ground without having to do the work physically? So in that matter, I would say like Google Ads or Facebook Ads, instead of having to go out and do groundwork. You know, doing that, you just click a button, you monitor it, and it handles everything for you. Or what I like to do is I like to find out how people are finding out about me, and whatever source I get the most feedback from, that's the source I'm going to focus all my time and energy into, because I know it's yielding results. It's bringing in money. If yard signs don't work for you, don't spend the money and the time doing it. Focus on something else. Try something new. You know, if going around handing out cards and flyers to 50 different places in your city because you're trying to get your name out there isn't bringing you any income, then you need to find another way to market. So At the end of the day, it's just finding what works and then how you can make that faster or better. And that in the long run is going to maximize your profit because it's saving you money in the present. So those are the things that I would like to just point out for profit versus expenses. I agreed. I think profit is better. If you can keep your overhead low and maximize your return on everything you make, I think you stand much better chance of succeeding than you do if you have to spend all this enormous amount of money just to make an enormous amount. So that's my 2 cents on the subject, coming from a small business owner who definitely doesn't make $250 a year. So take it with a grain of salt, but that is what I found to be helpful, and that's what I've heard from people who do make well over $250 a year or higher. So that's it for me. We're going to go through this dump line and then head off for the rest of our day. So I'll see you guys next time.